So Gerald spent almost a decade in finance and banking until he branched out and is now a serial entrepreneur. His passion is working with the youth and the incarcerated, and he's also an aspiring inspirational speaker who wants to trigger a change in his audience. So please welcome Gerald with his speech titled Paradigm 360.
Thank you for that. Welcome, everyone. I know I'm the last speaker, so I have to, ginger. I don't want anyone sleeping on me. So, I read an interesting book the other day, and it's called The Future Shock. It's written by an author called Alvin Toffler, and he said that the future is changing. The future as we see it now is changing. And the illiterate of the 21st century, it's not going to be those who can't read and write. The illiterate of the 21st century is going to be those of us who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. I want to talk to you about a concept today that I discovered about 6 years ago that drastically changed my life. I want to talk to you today about paradigms. Now, what are paradigms? Paradigm comes from the Greek word paradigma, and it simply means a model, a structure, a viewpoint, the way that you see the world. You see, as long as you and I live on this planet Earth, we will never ever see the world as it is. We can only see the world as we are. You see, sometimes when we describe certain things, for example, let's take this room. Someone will say this room is quite big. No, it's not. It's just what it is. It's only big or small in relation to another room. It's got high ceilings, it's got good decor in relation to something else. Now, your viewpoint and my viewpoint will be totally different. I can talk to 3 people in this room right now, and they're going to describe this room in totally different ways. Because we can never ever see the world as it is. We can only see the world as we are. Now, paradigms, how are paradigms formed? Each and every one of us has a viewpoint. Now, what is interesting when I was reading about paradigms is that by the age of 8 years old, most of us have our core values, our core viewpoints already embedded in us. Now, I found that scary because I still don't remember where I was when I was 8 years old. But to actually think that most of my viewpoints were formed at that early age, it's quite scary. Now, that even makes me what makes me more angry is when I hear that a child has been abused. Because, you see, at that early age, the child has not got a conscious mind. All a child has is a subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, for those who know, has not got any ability to reject any information. That's why we speak the language that we speak. I grew up in a part of Africa called Ghana. I can speak 2 languages. I had no choice. When I was growing up, the social structure spoke 2 languages, so that's why I speak. I don't like my wife for this, but she speaks about 5 languages because she grew up around 5 different families who spoke those languages. And at that early age, you've got no choice but to learn it because all you've got is your subconscious mind. And that is when most of our paradigms are formed. That's where most of our viewpoints are formed. I'll tell you a little story. Nelson Mandela, one of the great minds that ever walked this planet, he was in prison for about 27 years. Now, getting to the latter part of the prison days, he was moved to a quarters. Now, when he was finally freed, what's interesting is that man had the world at his disposal. He could, just call world leaders, they all come to him because they actually valued his knowledge. But when Nelson Mandela had to build a house, a home for himself, he built a house so small, it was just like his prison quarters. Now, this is one of the great minds that actually walked this planet. But that 27 years had conditioned him so much that he couldn't break out of it. Now, it's quite similar with most of our lives. The thing is, most of us don't know it's there. And that's the scary bit. Because when it gets to issues such as, let's say, finance, for instance, most of us, when we talk about finance, we already have a viewpoint of finance. We don't even know it's there. Some of us have already capped how much we can earn. And if I was to ask, can you say that £1 million will be the minimum in my bank accounts? Can you say that to yourself? Can anyone say that to themselves? Yeah? £1 million? I know one thing for a fact. There are some of us, if we try to say that, there's something that's going to rebel. Something is going to say, no. It's not true. And that is that something that I'm talking about. That is the paradigm. That is the viewpoint. That is the structure that is inbuilt in us that we don't even know is there. Now, I heard a story about a man who was on a train with his three kids. Now, these kids were running around in the train, literally knocking over people and their papers and whatever. And the man just sat down in the train, sort of totally oblivious of what's going on. And then one man, everyone in the train was getting angry. Note that attitude. Everyone in the train was getting angry, attitude. And then one man decided, you know what, I'm going to confront this man and see what's going on. Behavior. So he walked over to the man and said, can't you see what's going on? Can you not control your children, please? And the man said, oh, you know what, I'm really sorry, I've not even noticed it. We just came from the hospital and they just lost their mom. They're not sure how to take it. And frankly, I don't know how to take it as well. Now imagine the shifts at that very time. You see, attitude and behavior are good, but underlining that is paradigms. Your paradigms are more important than your attitude and your behavior. I love this crowd because most of us are facing our fears at the moment. I'm not a public speaker. Most people who have been here are not public speakers. We are facing our fears. Attitude. We've taken the right step. We've paid for a course. We are here. Behavior. What is going to take us to the next step is paradigm. Because if you don't work on your model, something is still going to pull you back. I'm an entrepreneur. It was quite a difficult journey because I've grown up working. My parents worked. Everyone around me was working. I don't know anyone who was running their own business. So the statistics show that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. But it's only because we want to go back to the structures that we know. Back to what we are comfortable with. That's our comfort zone. So it's not like the businesses fail on its own, but the person, the entrepreneur, or the person trying to run it, want to go back to the model, to the viewpoint that they are comfortable with. Now, how do we change paradigms? paradigms are nothing but a multitude of habits. So the more you practice them, the more it becomes ingrained in you and sort of natural to you. You don't even know they are there. To change them, you need to counteract them with opposing habits. So for example, if it's too cold, what do? You turn on the heating. If the heating is on, you don't worry about the cold. You don't even notice the cold is there. And that's what you have to do. Counteract your negative paradigms with positive ones. Because your behavior and your attitude are nothing if the underlying paradigm or the underlying map is wrong. I'll just leave you with this. If you want to make small changes, work on your behavior, work on your attitude. If you want to make quantum leaps, bigger leaps, totally transform your life, turn it upside down, find out your paradigms, your maps, your attitudes, your viewpoints, and change those. Thank you.